Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio today is Mr. Adam Ibbotson, Superintendent of Maroa-Forsyth Schools. Good to see you, Mr. Ibbotson. How was your summer?
It was really good. It was celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary.
Nice.
Went out to the Grand Canyon.
Nice. That's
we
awesome.
did Zion National Park. So
Oh, that's awesome.
my wife and I always talked about once we got to 25, we need to see the Grand Canyon. So we went out there and spent some time, and that was a great trip, and just to celebrate and be out there with her.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a bucket list one for me. Nice.
It's awesome. It's really cool.
Good.
You got to see it.
Good for you guys. Good for you guys. Well, now it's back to the grind, sir. When do you guys get going? What's your schedule like?
It's really hard to believe that this is starting year 3 already.
I
It
know
seems
it,
like
right?
I just turned around the other day and was just getting started and had my first radio show with you. So we're getting started actually tomorrow with our staff. Tomorrow's our back to school breakfast where we'll invite all of our staff members at the middle school.
Mm-hmm.
Typically that meeting is HR pieces where we'll talk about insurance. We'll talk about payroll pieces. We'll also talk about some different offerings that we have for staff to get ready.
Mm-hmm.
And then teachers are there to kind of work through that and have time to work in their classrooms to get ready for the school year next year. So that kicks off tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow night is also our fall athlete night preview and change scrimmage with our football team. That's tomorrow night, and those festivities start in the evening around 6 o'clock. So that's an exciting time.
Mm-hmm.
Everything just kind of moved up a week just with the IHSA schedule. So that scrimmage moved up a week. And that first football game is on the 21st.
Mm-hmm.
Monday is also a Teachers Institute day. And we'll have our building meetings. We'll talk about school safety. Our SROs will go around and meet with our different staffs to talk about school safety with them.
Mm-hmm.
That night is our back to school open house nights. So they're staggered a little bit at the grade school with our different grade levels. And then the high school, middle school is that evening starting at 6.
Mm-hmm.
So that's our back to school night on Monday. And then on Tuesday, the 18th, we come back where we have our 1st through 5th graders attend the grade school.
Mm-hmm.
And then our 6th graders and new students at the middle school attend the middle school, kind of like a new student orientation type day in the morning. And then our high school kids, it's our 9th graders and our new students there. And that's an early dismissal day on Tuesday. Just wanted to talk a little bit about with our scheduling and what that looks like. Just thinking about Tuesday. This year, we've talked a lot about our busing and talked about the staggered starts. So we will start class with those new students on the 18th. It's 7:55 is when the high school, middle school will start.
Mm-hmm.
That's earlier than 8:05. And then at the grade school, they will start at 8:30 instead of really 8:20.
Mm-hmm.
So 10 minutes different. On those early release days at the grade school and high school, those shift as well. So high school, middle school, they'll be getting out at 11:20 on that Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's 11:55 at the grade school. So that's our first time to try that early dismissal on Tuesday. And on Wednesday, the 19th, that's our first full day for all students will be in the district, K through 12, as we get ready to get settled for that. Again, 7:55 starts for our middle school, high school kids, and then 8:30 starts for our grade school kids as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's also our first time that we're trying breakfast at our district for a while.
Oh, really?
So we're
Didn't know
offering
that.
breakfast at the grade school for the first time from 8:15 to 8:30. We're going to see how that navigates and works through that process to offer that. The staggered has helped us do that. So we'll see how that works out. And then full day Thursday. And then the 21st is the first home football game with New Berlin. So we'll break in the new press box and get started for the year with all of our activities, and we're off and rolling.
There you go. Now, remind us, I know this really, there's a lot of lead up to the change in the start times at your various buildings.
Yeah.
Take us back and remind us what that was all about.
We just really started with thinking about how can we maximize efficiency with our transportation budget. We needed to get to the spot to where we could have bus drivers be able to drive 2 routes instead of 1, meaning they would go and do middle school, high school, and then they would go and pick up a set of grade school students. So in order to do that, we have to have a stagger between the 2 campuses that's big enough in order to accomplish this. And we've established it last year through doing this somewhat in a limited manner to being about 30 to 35 minutes to make that happen. So we have 4 drivers doing that and another driver who's driving in some of our country routes that will take a little bit longer. So that precipitated the need to shift 10 minutes earlier and then 10 minutes later to
Mhm.
make sure that stagger happens. And
Mhm.
we're hoping to save some money on the bus lease next year when we get ready to go. Shortage of drivers. We're able to accomplish all the routes to happen.
Mm.
We went to pool stops and had several different meetings and different communications about that along the way. So I'm hopeful to see that plan come to fruition. I know there will be issues as we get started.
Yeah.
The start of the school year sometimes is always get the bugs worked out usually.
Mhm.
So this will be a little bit more of a challenge for our group, but our transportation director, Pat Fott, assistant director Amy Flock has done a great job with our busing.
Mhm.
All of our building secretaries, all of our administrators have done a good job communicating, and
Mhm.
we'll unveil the plan and see how it rolls starting next week.
Yeah, you mentioned the bus driver challenges.
Yeah.
I see the advertisement for bus drivers
Sure.
coming out of Forsyth.
Yeah.
But I know kind of down the road you're thinking transportation dollars are going to be a little
Sure.
slim as well. Is that part of the equation with this?
It is. I think that we continue to be under the proration pieces. Again,
Mhm.
proration is simply meaning that if the state is supposed to reimburse us 80% of what we are owed for transporting students, because we don't have a choice,
Mhm.
we have to transport students that live outside of 1.5 miles to school from that particular site. If you're within 1.5 miles, you have to declare those things a hazard to be able to do that.
Mm.
And we have a couple locations that fits for that regard. Well, the state is at this point only reimbursing 70% for regular transportation and maybe as little as 60% we've heard maybe for even special education costs.
Mhm.
So all that adds up in a budget. If you're not getting back what your percentages are, that puts pressure on the budget. And with fuel prices, bus lease prices, nothing's getting cheaper. So
Mhm.
we need to maximize efficiency, and we're doing that with our routes and what we're doing with our pool stops.
Sure. It just dawned on me driving through Maroa when you're kind of in that school area. I don't know if it was the summer or the spring, but I know that the speed limit changed
Yeah, this
on
spring.
51. Yeah.
Yeah, that was in IDOT. IDOT was in charge of that.
Mhm.
They had studied that. We had unfortunately had a fatal accident that was there at Wood Street in 51.
Mhm.
And IDOT did a traffic study. The city of Maroa is still advocating for a actual stoplight like Clinton does on
Mhm.
51.
Mhm.
But the solution from IDOT at this point in time is a reduced speed limit between Wood Street and Washington Street down to 45.
Mhm.
So I would caution drivers as you're moving through Maroa, it goes from 65 to 55 to 45.
Pretty quick too.
Pretty quick, and then you're back up to 55 just outside of the town. So
Mhm.
that's designed to help create a safer path for people to where traffic isn't as fast along the way to make sure people can get safely in and out of our campus.
Yep, for sure. It took us by surprise. It was 55 one morning, and then we came
Yeah.
back in the afternoon, and it
Yep.
was 45.
Yeah,
so.
and that was not a city of Maroa piece. That was
Yeah,
out on
IDOT,
51
yeah.
and IDOT
Mhm.
recommending that to slow down traffic there a little bit.
There you go. Mr. Adam Ibbotson is the superintendent of Maroa-Forsyth Schools, my guest in studio here for this morning. As we think about more back-to-school things,
Yeah.
Mr. Ibbotson, what else comes to mind for you?
Just thinking about bus safety in general, just reminders, passing a stopped bus with the stop arm out is a crime. That is a violation. That is with stiffer penalties than
Mhm.
ever before. So just encourage you when you see one of our buses or any buses around and you see that stop arm out, be very careful and be aware, because we've been through the summer and get started. Most every school district around us in the next couple of weeks are going to get started. So you're going
Mhm.
to see those buses. We've got extracurricular trips out already doing
Mhm.
middle school sports. So be aware of that.
Mhm.
Just traffic patterns you're going to see at our middle school, high school, that time period from 7:30 to 7:55, that's going to be busy.
Mhm.
So just be aware of that. And at the grade school, you're going to see cars start to line up 8 o'clock or a little sooner, and you're going to see a lot of traffic there off of Highway County 20, right there by the grade school. So just
Sure.
be aware of those patterns. Students walking in the city of Maroa to get to the middle school, high school, if they're that age, just be aware that school is starting up, and we'll start doing that on Tuesday.
Mhm.
The other piece I think for schools is it's hard in the summer brain to come back to school and those routines.
Mhm.
I would just encourage parents, as you think about preparing your little one for school or even your older one, bedtimes are important. Routines at home are important.
Mhm.
Getting them ready to have the proper rest, the proper nutrition,
Mhm.
and the tools so they can come to school to show what they know. And
Mhm.
I think that's an important part, that as we try to transition into the fall, sometimes that's a tough transition for kids because they're used to having those summer pieces, and now we're back into the structure of school.
Mhm.
I think that's an important piece. And that really leads to attendance.
Mhm.
Attendance is such a big piece about learning. Your best ability is your availability.
Mm.
You need to be at school. Learning can't happen if you're not there. So be cognizant of the school schedule, look at the school calendar on the website, try to make those appointments after school if you can. I know that's not always possible, but the more time that you can be in school, the more opportunities you have to learn from our great staff and be able to achieve your academic goals.
I want to go back to something and just kind of the nature of learning. You mentioned that Maroa-Forsyth going to try breakfast, a
Yeah,
breakfast program
sure.
this year. First of all, can you highlight what that is going to look like?
Yeah.
And will there be like a free reduced
Yep.
component to that? And
Yep.
then if you would address why breakfast is so important for students.
So we had looked at in the part of the schedule when we were talking about changing the pickup and drop offs. It was brought up by our grade school staff about the possibility of breakfast for our grade school students. Kiddos may come in and it's hard to get out the door sometimes. Sometimes it's hard to get breakfast or things of nutritional value to get there as kids are getting dropped off. And a lot of times, if kids are hungry, we want to provide some sort of food for them because your brain's got to have fuel in order to learn. So I worked with Lisa Russell, our food service director, and we talked about a plan about how could we possibly do this and do it in a pretty short period of time. So the breakfast will be eligible with free and reduced lunches or direct serve pieces. Students can buy those just like they do for their lunches along the way, same process. Not perishable items, so they don't need to be refrigerated during the day, and they'll be in bags. So essentially, they'll be able to grab the bag with the options that are in there, be able to eat in the cafeteria, and if as they get ready to head to class, they could take that bag with them if they need to. We just felt like it's worth a try to see how this goes. We haven't had it since I've been here, and it's been a while since Maroa has offered it. Used to be at the high school, middle school, they had offered it, but we really wanted to try it down with our younger kiddos to see how that would go. So again, I'm guessing there's going to be bugs to work out on the first day of breakfast, and we'll kind of navigate that to see how it goes. But our staff thought it was important. I thought it was important to offer that opportunity. I think if families need assistance and help with nutrition and be able to do that to fuel the learning, I want to be able to help contribute to that.
And I know when a student has, something in their body, they focus better, they learn better, they pick, they pick up the lessons better. Like there's a lot, if I'm not mistaken, there's a lot of science to being fed and the learning environment.
It's hard for you to focus on something if your basic needs are not met. Food, clothing, water, shelter, those things are important. So if we can help provide a piece of that puzzle for food, we'll try that out at our grade school and we'll navigate challenges. I'm sure there will be challenges as with anything new, but it's worth a try. I think it's good for kids. And I think that's how we need to navigate that and have that to be our compass as we go forward.
Very good. Very good. Mr. Ibbotson, anything else? You mentioned rest, in a nightly routine, morning routine. How important is rest for students?
I think for adults, it's really important. It's even more important for kids. I think thinking about screen time that you have your kids onto at home, trying to think about healthy limits for that. Sometimes your brain can't really shut down if it's constantly being stimulated all the time. Having a regular routine for bedtime, having a regular routine about when you're turning off devices, when you're going to go to bed, when you're going to get up in the morning. It's just kids crave that routine. Adults like that routine. I know my wife started back to school at Riverton this last week, and this is their third day of full student attendance and just kind of getting into that rhythm with kiddos. I think that's important. So I think monitoring that at home, that just sets you up for success as a parent, sets your kid up for success at school, and helps us be set up for success at the district level.
We ought to talk sometime about, digital online safety too.
Sure.
That's a huge piece.
That is for
now.
sure.
Yeah, very much. So maybe another day there, Mr. Ibbotson. I'll tell you what, on that note, let's take a break. Where do folks go? Does the district have an app, website? What's the best place for them to find, first day of school information, just school information in general?
Yeah. mfschools.net on the website. There are different pieces that are on there for different announcements. And then you can also follow us on social media at the different Facebook pieces. You'll find that at the grade school, the middle school, the high school, and all things athletics you can find on Facebook.
Very good. Mr. Adam Ibbotson, Superintendent of Maroa-Forsyth Schools, my guest in studio today. More to come with him coming up on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW.
Let's take a look at the opening markets today on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Colin Shope. Sharp gains following a WASD report Tuesday, taking a bit of a breather on corn today. September corn opens at $4.53 1/4, down 3 3/4. December corn at $4.77, down 3 3/4, and March corn at $4.92 3/4, down 3 3/4. Moving to soybeans, September soybeans at $11.62 3/4, down 2 1/2. November soybeans at 11.80, down 3.25. January soybeans at 11.95.5, down 3.5. Taking a look at wheat now, up for its second consecutive day. September wheat at 654.5, up 1.75. KC September wheat at 724.25, up 3.5. That is your look at the opening markets this morning on the RFD Radio Network.
This is in.
Baum Chevrolet Buick offers full transportation options while giving you peace of mind. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. This is what we do every day. We listen to you, give you options for routine maintenance, major mechanical problems, or collision repairs with a staff that's knowledgeable to find the best option for you. Baum Chevrolet Buick, your full-service dealer. See us at baumchevybuick.com right from the start.
Here's Matt Hart, owner of the Hart Media Group in Clinton, talking about continuing to serve the community through new ownership.
Things came together and we reached an agreement to purchase. And as you mentioned, we closed August the 1st. So as August the 1st, Miller Media Group is now Hart Media Group. And we're continuing to serve the people of Clinton and DeWitt County and Monticello and Bloomington and Decatur and everywhere, because we'll just keep connecting people as we've been doing.
The Hart Media Group looks forward to continuing to serve the community for years to come.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, my guest in studio this morning, Mr. Adam Ibbotson, Superintendent of Maroa-Forsyth Schools. Mr. Ibbotson, your board meeting for August came in a little earlier this month. Let's revisit. Sounds like a lot happened. What's going on with board these days?
Yeah, August 3rd, we had our regular meeting. That night, we talked about updates to our summer projects. So we've had a busy summer in the schools. Our press box is, as of this morning, pretty well finished and ready to go, with kind of final clean happening today. So that's exciting, having it ready to go for Friday night for the change scrimmage and then the first game on the 21st. That was a huge summer project for us that we've been working through to get that done. We've also accomplished several health, life, safety projects this summer with different door pieces, some atrium work that we've done with some of the wall coverings. We've also updated several paint pieces and general maintenance around the district, as well as HVAC issues.
Okay.
So a lot of those things are accomplished. At the grade school level, we've replaced our intercom system that was outdated. We've also replaced in the district our phone system across the board. So we're nearing completion on some of the bugs to work through it, but that was a big piece of the summer projects. Keith Gardner is our building and grounds director, and he does a great job. Our custodial staff does a great job. We celebrated yesterday. I took him to lunch at Cinco in Clinton yesterday and bought him lunch and said thanks for all that you do for the summer and what they do to make our buildings look so awesome. We are fortunate to have not only great facilities, but people who really care about the district and care about the facilities. And that shows when you walk through them. So really proud of what we accomplished this summer. Really proud of what it looks like so far with those projects. So that was a big part of the board meeting. We shared about it. We also hired several new staff members. So we've had several staff members were onboarding with new teacher pieces that we did at the board meeting. And we also presented the tentative budget. So we have to present a tentative budget. It's got to be on display for 30 days at the unit office for people to see. The legal notice went out in the paper on Wednesday on the Herald and Review. And then we'll actually have the formal budget hearing on the 21st. So looking at the overall budget, the budget in round numbers is about $20 million. That's the budget for us. Thinking about where we're at with state funding, we think about EBF is our state funding number, slight increase in that number. We don't depend a ton on state revenue for us as a local district, but we did have a slight increase there. In terms of our EAV grew about 4% over time period from last year. So that's all reflected in the budget. We talked about transportation earlier, still face pressure in that Fund 40. So you think about school accounting, that Fund 40 is the transportation bucket. And that bucket is running a deficit again, is what our projection is for the next school year. I told the board and informed them that I don't see us really making some headway until we're able to reduce some buses off that lease. And that bus lease ends this year. So I'm hoping for next year to kind of turn that around a little bit. This will be our second consecutive year of some deficit spending there. But again, we're taking steps to proactively try to put a dent into that deficit and help out along the way. So that was a big part of the budget discussion.
Why does the tentative budget come out in August if the new fiscal year starts July 1?
You can actually present it if you want to in a July meeting. Some districts present their tentative budget in July.
Oh,
We oftentimes don't have final numbers. We just got the state number from the evidence-based funding formula.
oh.
We can make estimates on it being flat, and that's what we typically start with.
Mhm.
We've typically presented that budget early in August, tentatively. We're still waiting on one other number from the CPPRT number from the Illinois Department of Revenue.
Sure.
But some districts do July. A lot of do them in August. As
Mm.
long as you have 30 days between the tentative budget and the actual budget hearing, that's what the legal statute has to get there for the budget.
Sure. So, but it's going to be well over 30 days because your board
Yeah.
meeting in August
Yeah.
was so early,
I
right?
actually like it. I think I was talking with Superintendent Clapp at Monticello. They typically do theirs in July
Mhm.
just to put out tentative numbers. And I like that because you can at least kind of work through as you get final numbers and really zero in that budget by the time you get to September.
Sure. Very good. Very good. I got about 2.5 minutes, sir.
Yeah.
What else you want to get to this morning?
Exciting for the board. I wanted to say thank you to Dr. Isaac Zuniga. He was a board member for us for a couple of terms. He was a vice president out at Richland Community College, and he recently was appointed to be a president of a junior college in the Chicagoland area.
Mm.
So that created a board vacancy for us. We conducted board interviews on the 3rd that night. We had 5 great candidates for that board position. And after we went through with the board selected Nick Braden to be our new Board of Education member. So board president Lindsay Wise and myself, we did an onboarding meeting with him, and we'll be seating him officially on the 21st September prior to that budget hearing. So welcome to Nick. Excited. He's got kids of the district, been a long-time resident here, and excited for what he's going to bring to the table. The other 4 candidates were great candidates as well. I think that's an awesome part of Maroa-Forsyth is we had 5 great people who wanted to be involved and give back to the community and serve on a board because you're not getting paid to be on the Board of Education. And there's a lot of headaches sometimes that come with it. But we had great candidates, and we were very fortunate and excited for Nick to be onboarded.
Very good. So with that, Mr. Ibbotson, let's wrap up here this morning talking strategic planning and
Yeah.
what the latest is with that.
Yeah. So my big topic tomorrow, we'll be talking about our mission statement that we're cultivating a learning environment that challenges all students to reach their unique potential. We're going to talk a lot about our goal during this next 5 years is to make this plan come alive. So we have 6 goals that go from staffing and retention all the way down to extracurricular balance. We're going to start working out in focus groups this fall, getting some staff input on definitive plans, and then have recommendations to the board. I'll report to the board 3 times a year on progress on a dashboard where we're at on those goals. And we're kicking that off with all of our staff members on Friday. So we can talk more about the plan and how they're going to play a vital role into that.
Well, let's talk more strategic planning maybe next month if that's
that
okay.
sounds great.
Very good. Mr. Ibbotson, it's always good to see you, man. Let's have a good school year.
I appreciate that, Seth. I always appreciate the time on the radio.
Very good. Mr. Adam Ibbotson, Superintendent of Maroa-Forsyth School, our guest on the morning show this morning. The show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Network news comes your way now.
WHOW.